Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Danganronpa. So we need to jump back into our third playthrough of school mode. Let's hit continue and we'll go ahead and skip the ending. The only thing we're not 100% sure with is the idea of do we have leftover items or not. And the answer to that is no, we don't have leftover Monokuma backups. So you do have to build those each time they get reset. You do need to build up the extra elements, which means in this first game run through we need to get energy and focus only on getting the things we need for energy. Otherwise there's kind of nothing here. I do have a walkthrough in front of me, so I do know what I'm going for. So we need tree branches, bags of screws, and then a heavy emphasis on pin lights. Otherwise we won't get these well. So pin light with some of the biggest ones we have. And we'll go ahead and have one guy clean, so we don't want to get too dirty. And then tree branches, probably go that route. And what was the other thing we needed before besides that? Bags of screws. How do we get bags of screws? Well, that would be the first class thing here, so we can stick a decent amount of people there, and that probably will balance that out about as good as we need to, I think. So hopefully that's enough stuff on the first playthrough. Meanwhile, we don't really need to focus too much at all on getting items or anything else. If anything, we kind of don't need anything else. Alright. So now the main focus here is to get the rest of the good endings for these. Turns out you don't have to get every Monokuma backup built, you just need to build the last one to see the extra endings we unlocked. Okay, so you can see there we have a little emblem between the characters already for Byakuya and Sayaka. So we are just looking for Monokuma next. And on the report cards, we don't have any indicator here, which that's weird. I guess there's just a space there for really no reason. Because, yeah, there's nothing here in the report cards that indicates that. Alright. Now the problem with hanging out on these trip tickets is, at least from my general guess, is that you have 3 random groups of 3s, or semi-random groups of 3 options. And none of the options, regardless if you went to the dining hall, the school store, the library, rec room, music room, or garden, none of them are going to give you options consistently for grades. Your best case scenario is that you'll have 2/3 of the time a great option, and then the other third of the time a good option, which means you really can't just guarantee without it would only be luck that you might be able to get through this in 10 times. And Um, the way this goes is the 3 options are randomized in different places, and the combination of the 3 options are randomized. So for instance, this is the 1/3 of the time where it's supposed to be what are you into today, so that will give you a good response. But this is the awful response, and this is the poor response. There is no great response into this.
Naturally.
Cleansing the administrators of the school in a purifying holocaust. What? That's a weird phrase. Starting with that, Monokuma, who is taking control of this school and so involved me in this wretchedness. Must weed out all those who obstruct me. But don't worry, I'll install an entirely new administration as soon as I'm done. That's a really weird response. So you could...
Let's go.
I could waste a lot of time going to different areas and playing around and goofing around, or I can just stick with the dining hall.
Okay.
And I think what I am going to do is just stick with the dining hall.
How are you?
For Byakuya. Get him up to 10 as quickly as possible, then move on to the next character. What were we short on? Yeah, we need bags of screws. Meanwhile, we also need Greek statues, wrenches and chisels. But I don't think there's a real reason to even focus on that. What could we also get? Triangle rulers and small light bulbs. Or antiseptic solutions. I think antiseptic solutions might be very useful. And then bees, fly traps, and wrenches. Iron plates. Monokuma photo albums. We should probably just start trying now to get Monokuma photo albums for a couple of times. Like I can craft book of secret poems, which I would need 5 of those. But yeah, I don't think so. So that effectively wore out all the energy of my characters. So now everybody pretty much needs to split their attention between the 3 lowest tiers and hope that that accomplishes enough of a goal. Meanwhile, pin lights versus aluminum cans. Well, we'll throw these in the data center since that is something we actually need to do. Tree branches, some more, a Venus flytrap. Still need one of those. Alright, let's go. And just speed up this whole thing. Meet with Byakuya again. So since we got the good response, you can see that's half a heart.
Well,
There also is good responses and bad responses for the Happy Heart Trigger mini game. So that too is something to keep an eye on, because you can get half or partial responses there. See, and that's just the exact same thing that we just clicked on, and that was the good again. And so it really seems like the dining hall is not the right response, not the right place to go to, but it actually is. I'm just getting bad rolls.
Isn't that wonderful? See ya.
We got a spirit bomb, and we should probably take care to use that. There you go. Reduce the amount of HP lost. Meanwhile, what would I need? A bandage, forms, mother's milk. Let's start seeing if we can make what we need. Marble slab and chisel for a Greek statue. Wrench and chisel. Anyways, and moving on. Secret books of poems. 5 of those. We now just need a sci-fi novel and small light bulbs and Monokuma photo albums. And marble slabs and chisels need to be a real focus. Can we make a welder? Yes, we can. Oh, we would need a bunch of them. Can we make 5 steering wheels? Need like wrenches. And then pie calculators. Would need small light bulbs. Okay. So our energy is still fairly well suited. Nobody is super exhausted. But we are going to have to pretty much stop focusing on anything high. So maybe I can pull this off and have a lot of people doing this. And then wrenches. We need a big focus on wrenches and chisels. So we gotta abandon the idea of what we were collecting up until this point. This might be wrong to just go with this, because I probably could have assigned more people to get more items of more importance. But I think we'll manage to pull this off fairly well. And we're building up our resources and our collection of items, when we probably aren't overshooting our collection of items. And honestly, it probably wouldn't hurt too much to just swap between areas. And the answer here is want to get something to drink. I think I had already known that, but I want to just double check.
Naturally.
So I think what we'll do is we'll just start in the dining room if it's a good location, and then maybe move to the next location. No, because that ruins your odds. We're in a bad position already, because like best case scenario, I do 5 characters, which would bring me up to 7 in this run, and then I'd have to do a whole nother run of 5 characters to get me up to 12. Then I'd have to do a whole nother run on top of that. Alright. we just need a Greek statue, which needs marble slabs. And this needs bandages. Okay, we can construct that. Need small light bulbs, more Greek statues. We need welders and iron plates and wrenches. I need to be careful not to try and collect items for something I've already built. Wrenches and iron plates, but mostly what we need to craft a Greek statue. So that should be the entire focus today. It's just marble slabs and aluminum cans and chisels. Mostly marble slabs. Alright. And we'll go ahead and power this guy up. And power this guy up. And spirit bomb this one. And we're gonna have to basically have everybody rest. This is gonna be bad. But I don't think I can do anything else. Otherwise they're just gonna all pass out. I did also find out that if we let the cleaning go completely downward, then we're gonna be in trouble. So marble slabs and chisels. And that's pretty much all I think we can get for now. I think that's all we need. Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of items around with that. And yeah, you can definitely tell how this really just turns the game to be very formulaic and very boring. If you're not careful. Like, you're really losing all the fun of the game. Any story, any dialogue, any of the flash that hides the fact that it's such a simplistic kind of item collection construction game.
Hell yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? See?
Okay. Do I want her higher? Or do I want to do that and that? Alright. 1, 2, 3. 4 is probably fine. Create that. Create that. Now we're looking for small light bulbs and iron plates and wrenches, or we go for antiseptic solution. I think maybe antiseptic solution should be a high priority too. Alright, so antiseptic solution, antiseptic solution, antiseptic solution, antiseptic solution. And small light bulbs would also come from that direction. feel like we kind of need to go back to pin light, but let's make a special effort to go to the gym a little bit and focus on more pin lights. Gym. And then have that one clean. I feel like maybe I need some dust cloths, so I'll have the data center searched a couple times too. Like all this top tier stuff, you're pretty much going to need all those ingredients a couple times. So it's not like you're really wasting anything early on to go down this route. And if all of these characters leveled up in their search ability by 1, that's going to make it a lot easier than potentially having to craft a whole bunch of cheat sheets. And at a certain level, in the next gameplay, we won't even bother to craft sheets, and we will be instead focusing solely on the concept of getting their cleaning ability up. I probably should put some other characters in charge of cleaning too. What should we talk about? I believe is the... Yep, that is the third grade option. Any meaningful conversation between you and me is completely impossible. Just how desperate have you become? Oh, that's right. You were hoping to make some kind of connection with me, right? That's actually a wise decision. Perhaps that's enough for me to remember your face. But if you want me to remember your name, you'll have to do a lot better than that. Looks like you had a really good time. So we've seen each of the 3 options now. So I'm willing to skip over to another room next time, so we can at least see less repeated content. Today's the day of the first day, and we just burnt right through it. I can build that. I can build that. We just need iron plates and wrenches and pie calculators. Can we make pie calculators? 2 more pie calculators. So we need dust cloths and whistles for that. Wrenches and iron plates. Here we've got our first mother's warm milk ready to go. And I think for that we can make a small vacuum also. And that puts us in just like a perfect situation, because there's basically nothing we need to do, and we've got a decent amount of resources in the first 5 days. Awful, look how you messed me up, my beautiful body. Or what exactly? Wait, this is exactly the same as before. Hey, does this look good looking to you, maybe? I mean, are you really sure?
Yes, indeed.
I just saw you make that really not face do-over. Well, still, you created a backup and completed the assignment, so I guess I'll give you some more tickets. And, the only thing I could think is if you were supposed to build like 5 copies of the same Monokuma backup, and I just don't think that there's a real point to that. Alright. We've got 2 cleaners that are about to pass out, so I'm gonna have to probably use a consumable. We can start with that to bring that up and have those 2 rest. Now what do we need? Microchips, 5 microchips and 3 binary converters. 1, 2, 3. 1. We need integrated circuits. Okay. Good enough. How many of these can we make right now? can definitely make a second one. So he could waste it and use it. Iron plates, wrenches, and dust cloths and whistles. Set task. Energetic people. Dust cloths and wrenches would be all of those. Resting people there. We'll go ahead and have him clean. Meanwhile, we can have the other tired people, I think, use wrenches. Go after wrenches. Have that one clean. We may not need actually 2 cleaners, but we'll do it this time. Integrated circuits would be the data center. So let's put more people on the data center. And yeah, balance that out a little bit more and go. Try not to agonize on choices. And then just rush. We are probably around 5 or 6 hearts with Byakuya at this point. Okay, so if we use a trip ticket, using this walkthrough I am looking at, the school store has a great, a good, and an awful. For Byakuya, the prompts that are great is I want this awesome armor, as compared to what's the last movie you saw, or oh look, it's some Monokuma merchandise, which is awful. Or you get the prompts that would be, I remember loving those toy vending machines, which is great. There's all kinds of paintings here, which is good. And then let's organize things here a little, which is awful. Or the third prompt, which is that's a pretty cute doll, versus what's a lantern doing in here, which is versus let's dig for treasure. So it probably wouldn't hurt to go through one of those, and then jump to the next area, just to keep things interesting. Yeah, so this is a great response.
What?
Vending machine? Hey, what is this? Show me how it operates. Oh sure, you just put a coin in like this and you turn the knob.
See.
An exchange of prize comes out. So it's a way of to test your luck then.
Come on.
Listen, don't get the wrong idea. Someone like me has no interest in this kind of distraction. That's why I didn't know about it. Looks to me like you had a really good time. These responses
Let's go.
at the end and the beginning don't really matter. So yeah, I guess we'll do the school store until we see each 3 of them, and then we'll double check to see how far away we are from getting Byakuya to the top. Or we could probably check right now, and we can calculate and have a running number in our heads if we can remember that much. Yeah, he's at 4.5, so we've still got plenty of hanging out with Byakuya to do. We now have 7 trip tickets, and even going on a trip every single day, that is pretty much just going to use up all 7. You won't have any extra or fewer than what you would need. So in this one, this is the only good answer, and that's a pretty cute doll. It's an actual antique. It's actually quite tasteful.
That's fine.
But I never imagined such a unique item would catch your eye. You may be in need of slight reevaluation. Think we had a good time? Go ahead and skip the rest of these. And hang out with Byakuya again. I kind of feel like there is a danger here where you would hang out with him, get him to 10 hearts, and still not get to the Happy Heart Havoc section minigame, which you kind of would like to see that. And then the third response is, I want this awesome armor. So I knew you were going to say that. I have no words for your level of childish idiocy. Anyone who would use these symbols of power to try and increase their own esteem is less than nothing. But do you know why powerful people originally chose to use things like this as decorations? You should try to find an answer to that to avoid embarrassing yourself further. He just doesn't stop, does he? Looks to me like he had a really good time. Yeah, that doesn't even make a lot of sense. To have that next line of dialogue just pop in like that. And now everybody should be energized and back ready to work. There we go. Enough for the Monokuma entertainment system. Meanwhile, we're looking for one welder and iron plates and more wrenches and more pi calculators, which would need light bulbs. Okay. Iron plates and wrenches and small light bulbs. Meanwhile, I think enough people here might be tired enough that it might not make sense to stick with this. And we're not anywhere close to being able to make a cheat sheet or a cleaning maestro. So, okay, iron plates, wrenches, and small light bulbs. So, who has iron plates, wrenches, or small light bulbs? Wrench is phys ed. So if I put everybody who is tired in phys ed, and then put him in cleaning duty. Then everybody else that's energetic, I think, needs to be in nurse's office, unless we can find the iron plate is somewhere else. No, it's phys ed is iron plate and nurse's office elsewise. What? Okay. I'm confusing myself a little bit. And yeah, that sucks. I don't want to see that happen. Okay, that should be about as good as we're gonna get. Let's go ahead and speed up things. There's no reason not to speed things up. Once again, we choose Byakuya, and then we'll move on since we've seen the three options so far in there, and we'll go to the library. Which I'll scroll up to walk through, even though I don't really need to, probably. So the options in the library are just reading casually isn't enough. Is it question mark? Versus they even have textbooks here, huh? Or what's your favorite kind of book, which is poor. Or it could be I love reading, which is great. Or we should spend some time studying, which is poor. Or I'm kind of getting sleepy, which is awful. Or want to go check out the back room, which is good, versus I just want to read comics, which is poor, which is versus I wonder if any of Toko's books are here, which is awful. Let's see. So that's the right response there. If you just skim over the surface of a source of information, it slides right off of you. Once you truly put information to use, only then does it become a part of you. I'm glad you see you understand that much. I hope you can prove it's not all you understand. Looks to me like you had a really good time. These really are just 1 or 2 sentence responses. And yeah, I might be able to just burn through 3 runs of this game if I can maintain momentum and I'm not wasting too much time. Alright. Yeah, pretty much everybody is fairly tired at this point, so that makes all the sense in the world. We've already got our Monokuma entertainment system, so we don't need to build any more. We now have enough to do that and do that, which then leaves us just with creating pi calculators, which we can do that. So we are now all about this. We need a couple of milk at some point, but now it's just all about Monokuma fame, photo albums, and pin lights. And at some point we might start thinking about getting cleaning maestros built too. Alright. Is there anything else that we'd even be short on? Maybe electronic tables later on. So we might very well, for the next 4 days, be very balanced and just make some small changes, but I think we are fine. Triangle rulers, Monokuma photo albums, pin lights. Set task. Alright. Monokuma photo albums I'm gonna give to the first 3 people. Maybe the first 4 people. And then triangle rulers, the next 3 people, and then pin lights. And I feel like I'm going to need an electronic table at some point, but not yet. Let's do one of those. And one of those. I think that probably balances things out fairly nicely. There we go. We have maybe 2 more trips, and then we need to check and see how this goes, how far we are from being done. Okay, so for the mini game here, the response is If you give affirmation on the first one, it's great. If you give negation, it's awful. If you give affirmation on the second one, it's poor, and negation on the second one, it's good. So let's look at the entire content and then loop around and see what happens. Looks like Byakuya's lost in thought. So dull, huh? That voice, could it be? Are these Byakuya's inner thoughts? Trigger a happy heart. We'll just let this play. I don't want to fast forward too much. Makoto is exceedingly dull boy. From everything he's told me, from the expectations he set for himself, I think is what that said, I have not a single shred of interest in him. This is clear to me now. He doesn't even comprehend he and I live in different worlds, so affirmation would be the right one. He's no different from the rest of the rolling masses out there. To even stand here eye to eye with him makes me ill. He knows nothing about fighting, about struggling. All the ignorant cattle covet only peace and tranquility. So we can just... It just cycles through. So there really is no way to get a wrong here and take damage. And so that's why there's no timer, and that's why you can just concentrate. I don't think there's any achievement for like concentrating for a specific amount of time. If there was an achievement around here, around that, I could certainly stand here and just concentrate, and it's just pretty much slowed the text to the slowest of crawls, although it is still moving. Consent, interesting. That's something we never even seen. You, me, and Dude live in different worlds, it's true.
Naturally.
Why are you telling me what I already know? Are you nervous standing before me like this? No, nothing like that. But so much of the time I don't understand the things you say.
Such ignorance.
Why should you? It's impossible for a commoner to understand the inner workings of a noble. It shows a certain wisdom for you to recognize that you could never call yourself my equal. If you see yourself having a tragic life, then you'll never rise above others. You know, it just occurred to me that even if this alternate good ending of this story actually occurs and everybody does escape, that just keeps all 15 of the characters or 16 of the characters in the main story alive for the sequel. It doesn't change the fact that, spoiler alert, they had actually already spent 2 years going to regular school at Hope's Peak and getting to know each other, and the tragedy has already occurred. So there's still plenty that they would have to struggle through in a sequel. If you see yourself having a tragic life, then you'll never rise above others.
Interesting.
Do you have what it takes to climb over them? It looks to me like he had a really good time. And then
Let's go.
let's keep moving. And keeps going forward. And everybody's nice and energetic. And if we weren't going to have any consumable, it would be something we would have to construct. Which we are still 1 pin light short. So we need to up the number of pin light things we collect, and we need to focus on getting some electrical tables. Also, milk wouldn't hurt also, but we can get that later. Okay, yeah, pin lights and electronic tables with a slight conversion from what we did yesterday. Alright, so electronic tables, electronic tables, man, you really have to struggle get to these top tier things, don't you? Well, I think really there's just a matter to calculate here. To be more serious around it. It may be that 3 is the magic number as far as people going to an area, and you just won't get, or you don't increase your odds much to get more pin lights or more Monokuma's diaries or Monokuma photo albums. Like, seems like there's a hard limiter there. Okay. And yeah, I think at this point it makes sense to skip to the end here and see where we are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have, if we get 2 greats with Byakuya, we will be done with him and we can move on to the next character. So no more library, let's go to the rec room, which let's look for a second and read the walkthrough, just because I think the rec room might be a bad place. Nope, the rec room's fine. The answers for the rec room are: let's play some pool versus want to play Othello. Let's give darts a shot. How you were supposed to figure that out, I don't know. Or it could be, is that a slot machine back there versus what kind of magazines do you like versus Celeste would probably love this place, which is awful. Pretty much mentioning anyone else is probably a bad idea in any of these dates. Or the answers could be Hope's Peak really is amazing, or versus kind of boring in here, huh? Or maybe there's something in the locker, which is awful. So he wants to play pool. Oh, I didn't expect you to suggest that. I must admit, I'm surprised you have any idea how to play. It's not that hard to at least pretend like you know how to play pool. What shall we play? One pocket, bank proof, bank pool, or just trick shot showdown? Those all sound like more complicated forms of pool than just standard straight ball or 8-ball. Looks to me like you had a really good time. And we'll go and skip all the redundant content. Well, this really just highlights how much of this redundant content can be skipped through. And a lot of that does highlight, if I was gonna have to play the whole game a second time, the main game a second time, I could put a lot of things through skip mode fairly easily and get the elements I need. You need to double check if we're getting triangle ruler and oil paints, and otherwise, I mean, just don't think we're gonna ever be dirty enough to need a cleaner. And I don't think they're gonna be low energy enough that they need to worry about that. Would be nice to be able to make one mom's more milk. We should send somebody to get more milk. And Venus flytraps and whistles and all of that really just can't be focused. Who do we want to use the cheat sheet on? That character, I suppose. And if we balance this out and we get everybody up to 8 using cheat sheets, I feel like we will kind of fairly quickly start seeing a decent amount of characters leveling up themselves to level 9. We haven't seen anybody actually level up to level 9 by themselves. So now I'm gonna just put all the tired people on art. Yeah, you can't really just play the game the way you would like it to play, though. Just doesn't quite work that way. There we go. Does that will look good enough? Looks good enough for me. And I suppose what we'll do, since we have basically 2 more trips with Byakuya's, we'll do one in the music room, and then we'll do one in the garden, and that should put us at the max. The music room options are I'd love to go see a concert or something, which is great, versus can you play any instruments, which is good, versus I'm a big fan of music, which is poor. Or it could be you think this room might be haunted, which is great, versus the piano looks expensive, which is good. Or want to sing together with everyone, which is awful. Or it could be maybe we should go somewhere else, which is good. Or versus I'd love to hear Sayaka sing sometime, which is poor. I want to do some karaoke, which is awful. So yeah, music room, it was 2 greats and a good. Maybe it's always 2 greats and a good. In every room. And I've just been misread it.
Naturally.
Finally, you said something halfway intelligent. It's foolish of you to bring me in the first place. Not that it's the first foolish thing you've done since I met you, or the most severe.
Let's go.
Staying around here is a waste of time. Let's go. I think we both had a pretty good time. That definitely does not seem like a pretty good time to me.
Let's go.
So I guess the better system is I should just cycle through each area 2 times, maybe even 3 times, until we get up to 10.
Hell yeah.
Nobody passed out. We are still short on oil paints and pin lights. And we would need more Venus flytraps and whistles otherwise. We've got enough now to re-energize there. And then make 1, 2 of those. Oil paints and pin lights should be our major focus this time. So that, and then oil paints there. Let's go ahead and energize these characters up to get some Venus flytraps. I don't think we need any more from the area there. Just trying to over focus on things. There we go. There we go. That's good enough. So we only got like 4 oil paints in that whole run. And we should be exactly 1 heart away from finishing Byakuya. But we aren't. So
Well,
it does seem like it just kind of doesn't quite work the way it seems like it should work. So we'll use 1 more trip ticket and we'll send him to the garden. In the garden, the options are something seems off, which is great, versus the happy blue sky kind of cheers me up, which is poor, versus I'd love to lay down and go to sleep, which is awful. Or it could be it's super humid in here, huh? Which is great, versus look at those chickens, which is poor, or want to do some gardening, which is awful, versus you want to do some flower viewing, which is good, versus we can't eat these chickens, which is poor, or do you like this place, which is awful. So it's super humid in here. It seems they're raising a variety of tropical plants here, although there's one plant here I've never seen before. Where did it come from? Is it the result of the efforts of another ultimate student? Interesting. They definitely tease that like there would just be an ultimate biologist, but it almost makes an argument that maybe the ultimate biologist is the one that created the tragedy, and that would be a way you could create a bad guy in the second game that isn't just the ultimate despair running the show again. Perhaps I can incorporate their work into the foundation of a new business enterprise. Looks to me like you had a really good time. It's gone so late already. Let's go ahead and skip the rest of this. So we're fairly right on the numbers. It's not exactly 10 days in, but 12 days in. Today's the day. Better review everything. Monokuma Entertainment System. Yeah, we created one. We still are super short on pin lights and Venus flytraps and whistles. And yeah, there's kind of nothing else to make, so.
hey, what's this?
So let's just go ahead and skip all of this. This is all the same dialogue. I just don't think this changes. This really does feel like gameplay material that would make more sense
What are you gonna do?
as part of a demo or a free advertisement for the main game. As the way they've released it, it being part of a re-release of the first game, it kind of acts as a teaser to the second game, which even in that, then that breaks the flow of the gameplay mechanic that you would normally have come to expect. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I am 1 Bunsen burner short, which means not much. Pin lights, whistles, and Venus flytraps. If we can get that. Okay. Where do you get the Bunsen burners from? Bunsen burners from that area. So we'll just move that. We will focus 1 more character on pin light. And then we will do that. Stick with that. And there we go. Hmm. Let's see. So there should be definitely some conversations that we're just
Now then.
not going to see the exact dialogue written for Byakuya. But it would be pointless to go any further with this. So next,
Well,
we're going to hang out with Kyoko. That way we alternate boy, girl. Use a trip ticket. Go to the dining hall. And then that means I need to scroll down in the walkthrough to get to Kyoko's responses. And that's going to take a while, because I'm sure these are all in left to right order. I'm at Sayaka, so the next one should be Kyoko. The options for the dining hall are: would you like some coffee, which is great. You've always seemed so distant, which is good. Or for breakfast, Japanese style is best, which is poor. Or you could do you know how to cook, which is great, versus what are you into these days, which is good. Or you always wear those gloves, which is awful. Or it could be, I could go for something sweet, which is good. So what should we talk about, which is poor. Or do you like cup ramen, which is awful. And so we will see which one this prompts us to. I could go for something sweet. While maintaining a proper blood sugar level is certainly important. For quick bursts of energy, sugar is the best. It is absorbed immediately, increasing mental acuity. Which is why, when I'm particularly tired, I add a bit of chocolate to my coffee. Specifically, I put the chocolate in my mouth, then take a sip of coffee and roll the chocolate around.
In other words,
Not only does it wake me up, but it helps me relax as well. I think we both had a pretty good time. I mean, that's an interesting story. Even just now, normal conversations can be a nice distraction sometimes,
so,
but it probably has something to do with the fact that it was you with me.
shall we go?
If you want to, I wouldn't mind if you invited me out again. So shall we head back? It's probably a great thing that none of these characters are written as like a third wheel character, because that could certainly have been fairly annoying.
yes indeed.
If,
Now then.
although that would have been fairly smart if there was a third wheel character like Hifumi, who just groveled at the feet of Kyoko and made sure that you never got close to Kyoko to ask her any questions. Then you wouldn't really realize how little you actually knew about her, or how much of a mystery she was. Where instead they had Hifumi really grovel at the feet of Celeste, if anybody, and he barely even did that much. Here we are at the school store. Look at all this stuff. It's hard to imagine what they don't have here. So school store options are, that's a pretty cool, cute doll, which is great. Versus let's dig for treasure, and I remember those toy vending machines. Or there's even incense and perfume, which is great, versus there's all kinds of paintings here, let's organize things a little. Or I want this awesome armor, which is good, versus it's some Monokuma merchandise. Or do they have any anime DVDs in stock? Some of these prompts do feel like they are not going to be used by some characters in particular. So cute doll. It looks like an antique. It really is quite cute. What's with that surprise look? I'm allowed to like cute things. And they talk about a cute doll, but which cute doll are they talking about? I don't particularly see one. And you're never in a mode in this extra game where you can look left or right or up or down, which really goes to show how pointless the whole 3D element of the main game was. And you can kind of tell that they've completely abandoned it, at least for this extra minigame, but I wouldn't be surprised if they actually completely abandoned it for the continuation of the series of the main game. They've just flattened the 3D image down in the background down to a 2D image, and they've definitely flattened down the 2D characters. Except for when you're walking around in the hallway. But honestly, even that's not necessary. The 3D on the 2D characters did create a weird drop shadow. I had no reason to believe that I'd have this much fun with you. In fact, I think I was able to clear up something that I'd been hanging over my heart for a while now. Not that I can say for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Makoto. Well then, should we head back? Okay, no. Once again, we'll go to Sayaka and use another trip ticket. This time to the library, where the options are "It's so quiet here" versus "Should we spend some time studying?" or "What's your favorite kind of book?" or "I just want to read comics," which is great for her, versus "I wonder if Toko's books are here," which is good, or "They even have textbooks here, huh?" versus "I love reading," which is good, "Maybe we should tidy up a little," which is poor, "I am getting kind of sleepy," which is awful. So we go with "It's so quiet here."
Indeed.
You're right, it's very calming. Normally when I'm in a place like this, I prefer to be alone. After all, reading is something you do alone, right?
However,
And yet, for some reason, even having you close to me, I don't find myself annoyed. It looks to me like she had a really good time. I had no reason to believe I'd have this much fun with you. In fact, I think I was able to clear something up that had been hanging over my heart for a while. Not that I can say for sure. Thank you, Makoto. Well then, should we head back? Same response as before. These days off get in the way of getting items, but then they definitely let you have more hangout times. But I really still have to question, wouldn't it have just been easier at some point to have let the entirety of the game take place in such a way that after the 50th day you could have just hung out with everybody as much as you wanted, and at the very least used up all of the Monokuma tickets you would have in a single run. Alright. We'll have to double check to make sure we're not out of energy. We're looking for a whistle, and triangle rulers, oil paints, and electronic tables and pin lights, which frankly it's fairly tall order. Let's see. Electronic table there, and then you don't need Bunsen burners. Monokuma photos might be what we need to go after. Probably not. We need triangle rulers. Still really struggling to try and find everything we're trying to find. Balance that out a little bit. That should be good enough. We're still just trying to hopefully make it to get items as quickly as possible and maybe level up characters. Did we do the rec room? No, so that would be the next one. Next one would be would you like to sit down and just talk, which is great, versus Celeste would probably love this place, versus Hope's Peak really is amazing. Or want to play Othello, which is great, versus let's play pool, or let's give darts a shot. Or it's a bunch of Monokuma bottles, which is good. Is that a slot machine, which is poor, and what kind of magazines do you like, which is awful. And we're gonna cycle back through all of this, but in the second run I am going to not bother to tell the options. If you look closely, you can see the figure inside each bottle is holding a chess piece. Speaking of which, why isn't there a chessboard in here? I'm pretty good, if I do say so myself. I wish I could show you. I think we both had a pretty good time. Even just a normal conversation can be a nice distraction sometimes, but it probably has something to do with the fact that it was you with me. We already read this. Yeah, I think there's really only 2, maybe 3 good responses, which inherently we know we are missing content because we're missing the responses and the lines of dialogue from the bad or the good or the awful choices. Which all of those too would play a factor. Alright, well, we have a cleaning maestro. Now, still looking for oil paints and electronic tables and pin lights. Meanwhile, I don't think we need to do much of anything else. Just go ahead and energize everybody back up. Set this. Electronic tables. What gets us oil paints? Art. Still struggling so much. Of course, increasing your ability to collect items in the long run shortens the amount of time to collect items to increase your cleaning ability, if the cleaning ability even needs to be increased. I honestly don't think it does. Do we have enough oil paints, or should we send someone else? Probably. See, that got us like 2 oil paints. So once again, Kyoko. Use a trip ticket to the music room this time. Which the options for the music room, or I'm a big fan of music, which is great, versus you think this room might be haunted, which is good, versus maybe we should go somewhere else, which is poor. I'm surprised that wouldn't always be a poor response, but it worked for Byakuya. Or it could have been what's your favorite kind of music, versus want to do some karaoke, versus I'd love to hear Sayaka sing something. Or it could be the piano looks pretty expensive, which is good, versus I always wanted to see some live music, which is poor. We should try singing something, which is awful. Let's see. So, what's your favorite kind of music is the response there.
It's true.
I don't have any particular type, but anything with a quiet, calming feel is the best.
However,
Of course, music can have a different effect on you depending on who's there with you. And naturally, sometimes you want to listen to music by yourself.
so then,
How about you? Do you feel like you want to listen to music when somebody else with somebody else right now? It looks to me like she had a really good time. I had no reason to believe I'd have this much fun with you. In fact, yep, we've already seen that dialogue, so we can just skip that. I think we are done seeing the last couple sentences. But we can definitely tell here that it still takes a little too long. Takes like 3 hours to do one run through, even if you're trying your very best. Where'd I get a cheat sheet? Why didn't I use that before? Yeah, you would think if anybody was going to get to level 9, naturally, it would have to be Yoshihiro, who's been our cleaning guy this whole time. Right. And still need more pin lights, and still need more oil paintings. Meanwhile, we can make one more of those. We'll need to get some more milk at some point. Where are we on collectibles at this point, though? It would be probably fine to build one of those and just back it down from, like, we could build 5 of those and back it down a little bit. Where small light bulbs we should leave alone, and notebooks I think we probably should leave alone. Where programming code, it doesn't, probably hard to make 5 of those. Just trying to see things that both items seem to have a large amount of things of. There really isn't a lot of that going on, though. Plus, crafting things for no real reason is kind of pointless. Pin light. Pin light. Right. And just nobody is leveling up. Which honestly, it feels like they should unlock a new game plus mode where you just skip out on any of the creation of the Monokuma backups, since that doesn't even really matter, and they just let you hang out nonstop. And that would have been easy to do after the first successful victory, to say we've now unlocked hangout mode, free play mode, or free time mode, where you can just hang out with all the characters, and you don't need Monokuma trip tickets, and you don't need anything else, and we don't end the day or start the day. You just go out and have a date with a character to either fill out their main story, which you actually did have to have the main story unlocked and get the star before you can get to the pure affection endings of this extra game. Here we're at the garden. Garden options are let's make some flower garlands, which is great, versus the happy blue sky kind of cheers me up, versus the something seems off. Or it could be look at those chickens, versus want to do some gardening, versus the it's super humid in here. Or it could be you want to do some flower viewing, which is good, versus the flowers kind of creepy. Or I'd love to lay down and just go to sleep. Which, yeah, it seems like the first two group of 3 options are always top tier great answers, and then the third one is a good answer.
Certainly.
Indeed, it's a chicken coop, but who's been taking care of them?
Why?
It'd be difficult to get them to breed without at least a little help.
It can't be.
It couldn't be Monokuma, could it? Why would a bear bother taking care of a bunch of birds? I must admit, the thought is rather funny. You know, this does highlight another thing at the end of the game. They didn't bother to try and free the birds, and the air filter had been shut off, they said, so they didn't think to rescue the chickens. Either that, or they should have ended the game maybe with even a cheesecake ending, or a after credits joke scene where the birds were running out on their own. And the flashing in and out of blackness doesn't really make as much sense as it should, because it flashes out kind of at the wrong point. It feels like it should flash out 2 sentences earlier. Yeah, I guess if you think about the entire school, there's a whole bunch of resources that could have been salvaged and scavenged from the school before they left, and instead they just kind of left. But also I could understand the idea of just getting out of there as quickly as possible before something else terrible happens. Alright, we are now hitting a quagmire. Let's go ahead and use the warm milk to re-energize everybody. And then hit this and hit that. And yeah, we are not too far away. If we just have to make 14 more cheat sheets to get every 8 to 9, then we would need 14, maybe 13, plus another 4. So 17, maybe 18 cheat sheets left. If we have to use a cheat sheet to get from 8 to 9. If we can get anything to level up at all, that would be great. Kind of at that point too, we might as well just have everybody cleaning always, save their energy. We just need that, or you put at least the lowest level people down in the clean, and then have the highest level people focus specifically on getting ingredients to make cleaning maestros. That would be the other thought. Also need some milk at some point, but we should be fine for a little while. And it's not really worth it to like come here and see that you have a ton of extra stuff, and it would make sense to burn some of that. We'll be fine regardless. Alright. Let's go. Without it really even changing anything. Alright. So now is the point where I'm not going to go through the dialogue and explain it, and instead I'm just going to use it, and hopefully we can get the answers without having to look them up too much, but I probably should just be certain that I do it. I could go for something sweet is a good answer.
Indeed.
while maintaining proper blood sugar level is certainly important. Yeah, we already saw all that dialogue, so we can just jump through all of that. We should be somewhere around 5 hearts now with Kyoko. But I wouldn't be surprised if we are actually closer to 4.5. Got 1 day left. Triangle rulers. We need to stick a whole bunch of people focused around triangle rulers, and that's kind of it. Just don't think there's anything else to really focus on. We don't really have anyone that's super tired, so classroom instead of art. That's probably the best way to do this. Try to balance that out a little bit, and then we'll try to balance it out a little bit more later. It may very well be a case that there is no way to have a perfect balance in which each character goes to each place, or goes to a specific place. Even if we could pull something off like that, it probably wouldn't work as well as it seems. We may be getting a limited number of resources here also because of a simple fact that we may be hitting a maximum of 999 on things like notebooks. Let's see. We once again will use the last of our trip tokens. And move forward. Game Grumps has, by the way, finished at this point covering the game. I assume they only played the main game. There's even Incense and Perfume.
Why?
But I haven't caught up to watch it again to see if they had any different or interesting things to say. They were mostly doing like improv comedy, overplaying the game and just kind of making fun of the whole thing. So I doubt they're gonna have any deep insights. It'd be hard to have deep insights in a game like this anyways. It doesn't feel like it's brimming with little Easter eggs and hints. I never imagined to find something like this in a school store. What's it doing here? And why was that the first thing you noticed? Are you too sensitive to fragrances, perhaps? Unexpected. I'll remember that. Looked to me like she had a really good time. See, if this wasn't dialogue, at least from a person's perspective who doesn't really want to play a lot of visual novels, if this was just dialogue that was flowing and I didn't have to hit any buttons and somebody was just talking to me, it'd be very easy to mostly tune that out and let the game maintain its proper pacing. But because that's not the case, and it's a visual novel, then I am always kind of constantly getting these speed bumps with every pause.
Hey, come on now.
So this is the one with the alcohol.
Of course. What are you gonna do?
8 more trip tickets. Alright. Still need more triangle rulers. Meanwhile, what do we need? Secret books of poems. 5 more of those. And then paint. in 20. You might as well build it at the very beginning. We need 1 bandage. Okay. Think that should be easy enough to set our minds to. I assume bandage is just the nurse's office, and let's put some more of this stuff some other places too. No, I've kind of balanced the energy here, or I'm gonna mess up. Then we're gonna have to see, have a couple of these there, and a couple of these there. Still looking for triangle rulers too. Okay. Because I want to go heavy on the pin lights, for sure. Alright, that should be good enough. Next, we will cycle a second time through this. See, it's been 1 hour and 30 minutes, and it feels like it's probably been 2 hours and 30 minutes, because it definitely would have taken this long to get to this point normally. I love reading, I believe, is the right response.
It's true.
Indeed, reading is quite enjoyable. It's the most convenient, logical way to obtain new knowledge. Really? I don't think so. I think audiobooks or someone explaining answers to direct questions is more convenient. It's the easiest way to see what kind of information has been accumulated up until now. Never heard of an internet search, apparently. Of course, whether or not you can actually comprehend or assimilate that information is up to you. If you say you love it, though, I have to assume you can't handle that. I think we both had a pretty good time. So, I wonder if that sentence, when it says, I think we both had a pretty good time, indicates good, and maybe when it's a great, it says a sentence that always has the word great in it. I don't think so, but there might be something to it. Alright, well, so it's fairly easy to realize what we're gonna do. Spend up those trip tokens as fast as possible. Let's see.
Hey. Why?
We had already done that one.
So, shall we go?
Yeah, it's very, very easy at this point to just go really quiet. and not say anything. Because there's really nothing new to say, and you're just... I'm just trying to move as fast as possible. I think this is part of a bigger problem, particularly maybe as I've gotten older. What's your favorite kind of music is the answer here.
It's true.
Where I kind of just wish there was more games that had some kind of cheats or game genie, like gameplay style, something that would just speed things up, or just try to implement every single type of time-saving mechanics. And visual novels are the exact opposite around that, particularly older visual novels. They're just not trying to save you time at all. But even games of services are built around the idea where you're supposed to play the game forever and spend as much time there. And even like YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and every service that's not even a video game has been gamified to try to take as much time of your time as possible. We've pretty much forgotten the idea of just having a tight 90-minute movie and enjoying it and then leaving. Anyways, I don't have a particular type of music, but anything that's quite a calm and feeling is best. Of course, music can be different effects depending on those who's with you. We have already read this. So let's skip forward.
Thank you.
It does feel like you're almost certainly guaranteed to have at least one trigger heart affection mode, if there is one that even exists for each character, which it says there is. But there seems to be nothing that actually triggers the trigger heart mode. Notice also we're not getting extra items from Monokuma anymore. So I don't know what is causing that to happen, or more accurately, that to not happen. There we go. We need milk. And we need triangle rulers more than anything else. I could also go after whistles. Okay, well, that's two out of energy, so we'll set that there. And I definitely still probably trying to look for pin lights. Kind of need something to get iron plates. Let's send one character that way, one character that way. And one character that way, another character that way. So let's just check here. We should be somewhere close to 9 hearts. We are at 3, 6, 7, 8.5. So one full heart with Sayaka should put her just half a heart away. Not Sayaka, Kyoko. So we should hang out with her twice. 2 more times. And frankly, I still want to see the special event with her. So if we have free time to hang out, I would want to hang out with her and see how that broke down. Let's make some flower garlands. Is the great response. So that should be a full heart. ... Is that a serious suggestion? What's the point of such an action? All we could do with them would be to give them to each other. But I suppose if you promise you would accept, then I suppose I don't mind the idea. Looks to me like she had a good time. See, and that was actually a great response, and it has the word good in it, so the whole concept, the way a full heart is being labeled as a great response in this walkthrough is not helpful.
Thank you.
Which, okay, that's more person who made the walkthrough. It's kind of interesting that walkthroughs nowadays more and more are showing up on forums on Steam than being posted to separate websites, which this is a Steam forum post that I'm using as a walkthrough. Although at a certain point this kind of falls somewhere kind of nebulously between a strategy guide and a walkthrough. Need some more oil paints, in the sense that it's not holding your hand and making you actually go through the walkthrough. It's not telling you every single step-by-step action. We need more milk. So, I'm gonna sit that one there and that one there, and put that there, and then just try to leave everything else there. Let's not fast forward through this. That'll A, give me a chance to drink some water, but B, it'll give me the opportunity to just see if maybe these guys get more experience by just taking your time and not fast forwarding. I don't know. It kind of feels like maybe you just cannot get enough experience to get even to level 8 without using a walkthrough. Without using the cheat sheets, not a walkthrough. And so you've been saying it that way, that's confusing. I kind of assume that Japanese students either are very good at cheating at school, or they just don't do it because of fear of being caught. I definitely don't think I've ever seen any reference to students cheating in Japan. I just don't think they would do it. Instead, they would cram and put their effort into it. Alright, so we do get the trigger happy heart, which means pretty much as long as I get a good, I'm fine, which is kind of good because the highest I can get is only a great. So in this event, trigger happy heart event, if you affirm on the first option, that's poor. If you negate on the first option, that's great. If you affirm on the second option, it's good. And if you negate on the second option, it's awful. So we know we're going to negate on the first option after it goes through 1. Huh? That voice, could it be? Are these Kyoko's inner thoughts? This is kind of the only point where it makes sense that this unlocks later, after the main game. although there probably is some sort of spoilers. Why am I here? Why am I stuck in this incomprehensible situation? Now is no time for me to be getting swept away. I hear the impatient whispers in my ear. I know it's real, but I'm gonna just slow down so I can read all of it. The way things are now, there's nothing I can do. That's the one you should negate, I assume. And then you get this weird, but why is it? This weird music that gets used only here when it made more sense to be other with. When I'm with Makoto. Why does that make the impatient whispering stop? Do I need Makoto? Which I guess you could affirm that for good or negate it if for awful. And clearly she does need Makoto for the way the story's written. Honestly, she probably wouldn't have needed him if it weren't for the fact that she needed to give hope to other characters. Maybe you can't do anything, but that's no reason to feel so impatient, is it? Is it so wrong to just wait patiently for the right opportunity?
In other words,
Are you saying that for now, I just need to wait and bide my time?
correct.
Listen to you trying to encourage me.
I wouldn't have expected.
Such arrogance. What? Did I make you married? No, not mad exactly.
Anyway,
What you were trying to say has been properly conveyed. Looks to me like she had a good time. And it really feels like at this point there should be some kind of indicator that you're up to 10 hearts. So that you don't just waste trip tickets. Because that's fairly ridiculous. Okay. We need more oil paint still. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those. Might as well burn down the max numbers of items. It might be that if you don't burn down the max numbers of items, you do then run the risk of it not just registering that that should be enough Muzworm milk for a while. It may not trigger what needs to be triggered to get the next element or the bigger fish elements. It might just be that nothing can level up past level 7 and you do just have to use items. Alright, well, we can then focus more characters on oil paints, I guess. Yeah, let's just do that. Unless perhaps there's a finite number of bits of experience per room, and maybe you should just have as few number of people per room as possible. That might be the case. Alright, so we now are going to switch over to one of the annoying characters, Mondo. And I hope we can get 3 done with Mondo. So let's scroll to the walkthrough for Mondo. If Boomy. Leon. Mondo. Okay, for the dining hall and Mondo, the options are one, something to drink versus do you like Japanese breakfast or Western, versus when I'm starving it's burger time, or the next group would be how do you get your hair to do that versus so what do you like to do at night versus let's pack a lunch and go somewhere, or what should we talk about which is good versus hey, is that clock stopped versus do you know how to cook. So that shouldn't be too bad. And since we know we're gonna go to each place twice anyways, well, let's just do each place twice in a row, then move. That way it's fresher in my mind. It's so crazy that what should we talk about is the right answer here.
That's true.
Good question. You ready for a manly heart-to-heart?
Hell yeah.
We haven't really had a chance yet, right? It's okay to spill your guts every once in a while, right? Look, going into crazy detail about your favorite bikes. Like going into crazy detail about your favorite bikes. So let her rip. I want to know what you're in love with.
Ain't that right?
Come on, it's fine. We're both men, right? There's nothing to hide. This seems strange. Shouldn't we be talking about our favorite girls or something? I think we had a pretty good time. See, yeah, there should be a blackout before it says I think we had a pretty good time. And there should be a sound effect cue that we've already heard the sound effect cues of positive or negative to indicate that. And frankly, it should probably just tell us straight up that we got +1 half heart. Yeah, I don't really see a reason to hide the fact that whether you got half a heart or a quarter of a heart or a full heart, because that information should just be shown to the player. I don't see a reason that you would want to be hiding behind that and playing blind, but the game seems to think that there's some people out there that would want to play blind. It's fun to screw around like this once in a while, right? I mean, as long as you're there to screw around with me.
Hell yeah.
Next time you're in the mood, let me know. I'm good to go anytime. Okay, ready to head back? This also does kind of highlight just how boring Danganronpa would have been if all of these hangout options were in the main game and they kind of asked you to focus on that content. Honestly, I don't even think the content that is in the main game as far as hangout options is particularly good. Cheat sheet. And now we just need some more oil paintings and some more electronic tables. Okay. Oil paints, triangle ruler. Don't probably need triangle rulers, so we'll have some of those go to electronic tables. Try and balance that out some more. Otherwise we're fine, so we should just hurry. And I guess this will be the last backup we make, and we should save because I haven't saved in a while. Alright. So second dining hall. And the answer is, how do you get your hair to do that?
What?
Ah, you noticed, huh? Yeah, it's kind of a pitch to get to stay like this.
Hey.
First, I could never get it to set the way I wanted it to, but my brother got his hands on some real primo hairspray, and a few shots of that did the job.
Ain't that right?
What do you think, Makoto? Want to give it a shot? Looks to me like you had a pretty good time. I don't know about you, but that sure was fun as hell. Seriously, I never thought I could have that much fun in here. Thanks for cheering me up, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, man. Okay, we should probably head back now. Actually, I think we
Okay.
probably are well suited to get 4 people done in this run,
How are you?
which still kind of implies that there will be 3 more runs after this. But this is the first of 3 remaining runs. Electronic tables. Well, one thing I can certainly say is if this guy doesn't make it to level 9 by the end of this playthrough, I am gonna just then in the next playthrough have him focus on searching for items a lot more, because obviously that's unnecessary, and we can just have other people clean, or we can stop using cleaners altogether. Because kind of at this point, if I was gonna make the feather duster or the small vacuum, there's enough here to not have anyone ever clean again. So much so that I can just like make 5 of these and set this guy even now so that he wouldn't clean. So the only reason we're having him clean is for an experiment. Alright, and we need, I just think, more electronic tables. So I'll kind of balance that down. We'll this time take him to the school store. Use the last trip ticket. Which the options for the school store is you want to give that toy machine a shot versus is that clock and antique versus there's a bunch of stuff laying around, or are you going to take a CD, which is actually a good response versus a great response. So there's only one great response in the store shop, so we probably shouldn't stick around here. So yeah, are you going to take a CD as a good response versus there's a ton of ceramics here versus have you ever played an accordion? Or it could be, are you going to buy something versus the vase looks pretty expensive versus the what's that ceramic looking thing? So we are really crossing our fingers for the toy machine answer. Yep, we got it.
What?
Damn,
What?
they got one of those here? I had all kinds of those toys when I was a kid. I'd stand there staring at it, and my brother would just walk up, bash it, and they'd all spill out. Ah, good times.
Hell yeah.
Alright, let's see who we can find. Who can find the rarest junk first. So yeah, instead of putting money in the gacha machine, his brother was just stealing it and breaking the machines. Which, in all fairness, I can't really blame too many people if they're gonna leave a unsecured gacha machine or gumball machine or something like that out in the open for somebody to take on their own desire, particularly when those products are designed to prey on the weak-minded and the young, and they are just trying to push people into a very unhealthy habit of gambling. So, yeah. Poor shopkeeper that might be out a $200 at most gotcha toy dispenser is not really something I would lose any sleep over. Not that I'm encouraging people to actively break them or anything, because, you know, also going to jail because you broke a gotcha machine is kind of pointless. Plus, all those toys are just so low quality anyways. And they're totally not worth money or your time. Okay. So we were able to make one more cheat sheet. We've got enough warm mother's milk. We could build more if we wanted to. It probably wouldn't hurt to create 10 more of those. And 10 more of those. And 10 more of those. Yeah, you can see how a significant amount of items that you would need are at $9.99. It's just the top tier items that are lower and less likely to appear. Like we're still just trying to get electronic tables.
Yes, it. What are you gonna do?
So then we get another 8 trip tickets. Next concept is Monokuma Adult. It does seem weird that we're just not getting any Monokuma items. Like that's the first Monokuma item we had collected. And I'm not sure I know a real reason for that. So we get that up, and we get that up. And we can, at the very beginning, form Greek statues and form everything you need to craft from day one. Almost. We need some cardboard, actually. And power saws. Can we get 10 of those? Alright. So we need cardboard. Meanwhile, we need electronic tables. But otherwise, we are making very good progress. There's kind of no reason to cycle through the presents. We never did at the end of the game. Look at these underwears that we unlocked. We can see the Easter egg is it is got some descriptions. So here we have Kiyotaka's favorite briefs. They were also the preferred briefs of his grandfather, the former prime minister and official ultimate manager. The manufacturer, Military World, claims they help support all idle Japanese men from down below. So the manufacturer's name is Military World. Here we have Sayaka's. Sayaka's favorite everyday underwear. They may be inexpensive, but when the ultimate pop sensation wears them, they still shine with an inner light. Of course, the brighter light, the darker the shadow. So they're kind of hinting at some things. I don't know if there's probably a way where you could get multiple copies of key items. The wash basin intended to give you the courage to seek out a true man's fantasy, specifically in public bathhouses. Seems like I got this item every time I rejected trying to peek in on the girls in the bathhouse, which I think off screen I probably will choose to go check that out. Not that there's really going to be anything of interest there. We also have 201 Monokuma tokens, and by the time we're done, we should be at least 600 Monokuma tokens, which then leaves us in a position where if I don't have the achievement by the time I have done everything else, if I don't have the achievement for having 999 Monokuma tokens, then I'm just gonna have to rush through the whole game, through this whole game yet another time, which that really wouldn't matter too much. That would be fairly easy to pull off. But yeah, this does not feel like it's going well. We are on the verge of getting one more cheat sheet to get Junko up to 8, and then by default we're just gonna start filling in other characters up to level 9 with cheat sheets. Or I don't know if we actually have enough time to get every character up to level 9 with a cheat sheet, but it seems like there would probably be at most 4 characters left. And if there is any extra time, then we will just start cleaning. Just have everybody clean every single day once we've got all the items we need to build the Monokuma things. So we can get the trip tickets, so we can then date people. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.